How about BRICS? You know, the BRIC states, there are like 6 of them, and they were trying to destroy our dollar. They were going to say, you know, they wanted to create a new currency. They probably wanted to use the yuan. China, they wanted to use the yuan. And Biden said, well, this is a tough situation. There's not much we can do about that. We can't help that. I said, oh, we can help it. So when I came in, the first thing I said is any BRIC state that even mentions the destruction of the dollar will be charged a 150% tariff. And we don't want your goods. We don't want to partake. And the BRIC states just broke up. I don't know what the hell happened to them. We haven't heard from the BRIC states lately. But he said that wasn't much we could do about it. There was a lot. It took once, and literally, they said, sir, what about the BRIC states? They're going to take over the dollar, the sanctity of the dollar. They're going to create a new currency to rule the world. I said, no, they're not. They said, yes, they are, sir. They said it. I said, no, they're not. Tell them 150% tariff, plus we're not going to do business with them. And that includes China. We've launched the largest deregulation campaign in our country's history. For every one new regulation, I've directed that 10 old regulations must be eliminated. And I will say, in my first term, we did more deregulation than any president in history by far, not even close.
This over-glorification that he has signed for BRICS and all of that, it's work that he found there. It's not his own initiatives. He has got no track record of initiating anything that can unify anyone. He's got no such.
Yeah, but Taylor, the BRICS countries are going to back their currency with gold. Good luck.
Yeah, he's right. Look at America. It has 8,133 metric ton of gold. If you even combine all the BRICS country, Russia, India, China, Brazil, South Africa, they come up to like 5,000 metric ton of gold. It might be that these countries are looking for an alternative way to move away from dollar because dollar have been weaponized. Yeah, no doubt. However, you cannot replace the dollar totally or discard it because it is being used 60% in the world reserves currency and 90% in world transaction. I think it's nothing but scare tactics because 20-30 years ago, they said that Japan was going to take over America or the world because economically it was killing and dominating it. However, nothing actually happened.
BRICS is an economic and political alliance of 5 major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Key facts about BRICS. Founded in 2006, originally as BRIC, South Africa joined in 2010. Objectives: promote economic cooperation, trade, and political coordination among member countries. Global influence: BRICS represents about 40% of the world's population and over 25% of global GDP. Alternatives to Western institutions: the bloc has created institutions like the New Development Bank, NDB, as an alternative to the World Bank and IMF. Expansion: in 2023, BRICS invited Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE to join, aiming to increase its global economic and political influence. BRICS is seen as a counterbalance to Western-dominated organizations like the G7 and IMF, focusing on shifting global power towards emerging economies.
Can you simplify the currency? So what's going on? Are we having a new currency? What's going on with that?
So money is very crucial. And in the 1970s, basically, America basically said our money will not be pegged to a substance like gold, right? We're just going to go off vibes. So American dollars are vibes. It's based off branding. Right? It's actually a brand because they say our military power, our interests across the globe, etc., allow them to print this money. And that's why BRICS said, why do we have to trade with each other in a currency that we both don't own? Why do we have to use that guy's money to buy things between the two of us? When I own oil, mina ngine mali. I've got money of my own. So that's where currency became a necessity, right? So that's why the BRICS guys said, we must have an alternative. Listen to this. We're not fighting what you have. We are saying there must be an alternative. And that's where the currency conversation is coming. And also, we want to finance our own things in our own currency. currency where the interest rate, we don't have to pay in your currency, which you deem to be more valuable than ours.
But please tell us, man, why the fascination about BRICS now? Because it's been around for about 17 years, right?
You've got to kind of give Abantu like simple analogies for them to understand what is BRICS. BRICS are guys who and people and groupings of countries that were tired. Think of it in a school context. You were getting bullied by this group of guys, and those guys, because they were picking on you because you were singular, it was just you. You can't walk past those guys, and like all the time, you're getting hassled. So suddenly you decided, look, there's actually quite a lot of us who are undergoing the same sort of like discrimination, bullying, whatnot. Why don't we just walk past these bullies together? That's how it started. So 5 guys decided, let's just walk together. Common interest. We feel like we're not getting enough from this schooling environment. And it's petegagbi. So what can we do? We can band together. We have common interests, right? Not enemies, common interest. A lot of people think BRICS is about enemies. It's not. It's not anti-West. It's about common interest and strategic interests.
I don't know who needs to hear this. Wake up. Wake up. What is going on? I'm not understanding how we could be going through potentially a crisis, like a serious crisis, where the BRICS nation is combining their money together to devalue the American dollar, which means that if we wanted to buy something over in these countries, whether it's Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa, if we was to go over there and try to purchase something for $1, guess how much we're going to have to give them? $55 to their $1. Do you not understand what is going to happen to our economy if that happens? We were just sitting here complaining about eggs $10. Can you imagine how much we're going to have to pay now? If we went to one of these countries and wanted to buy $20, 20 of their dollars worth of goods, do you know how much we're going to have to pay? That's $1,100 for a $20 item. So in layman's terms, that basically means, listen, these countries not messing with the U.S. no more. They're not trading the way that they used to trade. They don't care about nothing. They flip that coin. They're like, we not having it no more. So now we're subjected to inflation like crazy. Our rent. We talking about rent now. We're not going to be able to afford rent. Food, forget about it. That's probably half my check right now, just on food. Clothes. Electronics. Oil. Like everything that the U.S. was getting from these countries is going to be more than double. Can you imagine living like that? But yet nobody's talking about it. Yet it's under the radar. Yet it's not all over the news. It's not breaking news. This is what they're trying to do to us. None of that is going on. This is why they're distracting you with the fires, all of these wildfires that they're creating, but we're not going to get into all of that, right? We're not going to get into all of that they're creating. So now me, my family, you and your family is subjected to nothing. Like nothing. Basically, because they're not going to increase our pay. You know they're not going to do that. You know Biden don't mess with us like that. You know he do not mess with us like that. So it's not like we're going to get an increase in pay to cover all of these outrageous costs. So what you think going to happen? What do you think going to happen? I'm going to leave that up to your imagination. Because let's not forget, these elites don't care. They're not affected. Whatever happens over here, trust me, they're covered. They make sure that they're covered. They don't care about the little people. We're the little people. They don't care. Oh, and the rich, y'all not exempt. Y'all is not exempt. Because the taxes y'all gonna have to pay and to live this lavish lifestyle that you want to live, they're going to be taxing the living daylights out of you. The living daylights out of you. Y'all are going to be feeling like us. Y'all are really going to be feeling like us. And we're going to be feeling like the homeless, because that's ultimately what's going to end up happening. Oh, and if you're my color, forget about it, because they've been defecating on us for years. So, you know, they not handing out not one thing. If we do not stand together now, we are going to be in serious trouble. Y'all thought we was going through a spiritual warfare. It's about to get real, okay? Really real. And the distractions is working just like how they want it to work. Y'all are basically doing their job for them. Y'all need to wake up. Because life as you know it today could all change August 22nd. Wake up.
There is a war against the United States, and it's not one with bombs, but one of political power that is brewing, one that is attacking, again, that foundation, that pillar of U.S. strength, the U.S. dollar. And it is only gaining momentum. Should they secure a BRICS membership and create a rare earth element agreement with China, we are going to have a situation where there is going to be even more cross-border payments facilitated in non-dollar denominated currencies, in local trade currencies, further weakening the dollar and the United States' position of power. No matter your views on all of this, if you think that this is a smart move for Turkey economically, this is a blow to the EU and a devastating shock to the United States, one that will continue to play out in the months to come. Tell me what you think in the comments below, because this is the stuff that they don't teach. This is the stuff that is so important that we are educated on, that we know, that we understand, especially with everything that's coming.
BRICS will be the real blocker for the ANC-DA alliance. I agree with you 100%. And I think it's at this point where we will realize the importance of aligning yourself with powerful nations. Because best believe, right now, the BRICS nations are doing something whether or not we can see it. The same way, NATO is doing something whether or not we can see it. And that is why it's important for countries to always align themselves with powerful nations, that in the event where you find yourself in a specific situation, they are able to help you out. It's probably not a bad idea to do it with the most powerful nations in the world, Russia, China, India, you know? So, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting.
The biggest insult, and people need to understand this, the reason why South Africa was put into BRICS is because they need South Africa. We have uranium. Uranium powers fuel, or nuclear. It's the fuel for nuclear, right? We're in the top 10 of the largest producers of uranium in the world. Our uranium deposits, I believe, we're definitely number one, but scientists are saying, hey, top 10, other countries also have it, you know, and many of them, they lie about minerals because they're trying to get Africa to lessen the price. People don't know this. When you read state security documents, there are countries that have lied about minerals just so Africa can become a bit calm. Because if we knew that we're the only ones who have it, we'll be stronger. But we'll get to that. If we've got the fuel for nuclear and we continue shipping it to other countries, why aren't we building our own nuclear power stations? Is it because we don't have enough funds? Okay, why are you giving us 160 billion to build windmills instead of nuclear? Why was Jacob Zuma shut down when he spoke about nuclear? And many others agreed. CSIR agreed. And they said nuclear is the way. Why is it that everybody who's now close or friends with the one who's ruling is now building an independent power station? And remember, South Africans won't question this because we're under pressure. We're under pressure. Load shedding has taken away jobs. Load shedding has frustrated. There is no South African that is not at breaking point. So if anybody tells you we are building solar to try and help, you listen. In fact, you'll be grateful. But the truth is that was never the right choice. It was a choice that was carved for us to make sure that we never become the giant that we need to become. Because when you ask Arise and say, Mpo, what are the policies? I immediately tell you, fourth industrial revolution. We're building manufacturing hubs. We're building medical devices. We're building moving cars. I immediately go to manufacturing. And immediately they'll say, let's tame him. Yes, it's possible through 3D printing. Yes, your blockchain can work. Everything you said is right. Where will you get the electricity? Because where there's no nuclear, these things become very difficult to do. Nuclear is the bedrock of the fourth industrial revolution. They saw it coming to say, there's a generation of young people that are into tech that understand how things work. These young people might give us issues in the future. Kill them quick and use electricity to do so. Because not that I have issues with all these things. The issue for me, the biggest issue is in the future. Yes, solar panels and everything will give us electricity for what? 5 years? Yeah, we'll come out of load shedding for 5 years. But after that 5 years, we are back to square one, even worse. What could have given us enough energy to build a strong nation? Where everywhere around the world, they say, if you want to build something, in Africa, they have electricity, they have the minerals. Literally, it's in the ground. Whatever you want to build, just go and dig, it's there in the ground. So that becomes one of the biggest frustrations that I've ever seen in our country. And the reason why I said to you that two things would happen to me. One, they'd kill me, or they'd put me to jail. Because when you look at what the Zondo Commission said, and I don't want to get too much into it, we spent 1 billion researching or understanding or uncovering how corruption happened in our country. Essentially, we spent 1 billion rand to find out how 1.5 trillion over 5 years was looted through corruption in our country. Now, the Zondo Commission came out with 8 million pages. I believe I've read more than anybody in this country on the Zondo Commission. I know that many people who talk about it, they haven't even read. There are things in the Zondo Commission, by the way, that when you read, you're like, this is a movie. A woman is brought in from China. She comes, she takes money from the Reserve Bank. She flies out. She's caught in between. There are things that you read and you're like, is this the same South Africa that I'm living in? There are documents there about how politicians funded the Chinese railway using money they stole from Africa in the Zondo Commission. And I said to somebody, I said, the biggest issue we've got is you create an 8 million page document. Now, I'm an author, a best-selling author. So for me, reading, I must read every week.
Let them know. Best-selling author.
Every week I have to read, right? And I've got publishing houses saying, when you're releasing your next book? Because I've understood that reading for me is a precious skill that you must do. And I think for South Africans, reading is supposed to be a very big thing. Because if you come from a, I always tell people that while growing up, I used to read the Bible cover to cover. You ask me about the Bible, it's in my mind. The Bible is not the most funnest thing to read.
I've read it as well. When you speak about the Zondo Commission, I was thinking, when I read it, I was also like, have Christians actually read this thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not the funnest thing to read. But when you begin, and I haven't just read, I've had to read it to the point of meditating and understanding it completely. So when you understand that culture of reading, a nation can be helped. But we'll get there. I don't want to digress from the Zondo Commission. Now, the issue is 8 million pages. Which young person is going to read it if the literacy rate in our country has been going down? So do you see that there's a strategic evil attack upon our nation to say, dumb them down, that even if Zondo is saying certain things in the commission, none of them will listen. You go to a young person and you say, what happened in the Zondo Commission? They'll tell you Gupta. That's the least of it. That's the least of it. This was worse. There were things there that were worse. And I want to talk about some of them. But before I talk about that, what the Zondo Commission said, the solution that they brought with, and which I agree, they said South Africa must pay whistleblowers. You see what I'm doing now? Coming in, I'm speaking to young people. I'm telling them what happened. I'm revealing secrets. There are people that would kill me. right? Maybe it might be a bit difficult to kill me because young people have now noticed me. Young people are now following me. People know me. I've got people that are saying, we're backing you, we're with you. I've got people that are saying, listen, we're praying for this thing. God has spoken to us too about our eyes. We're backing you, we're with you. So I've got a force behind me. But think about a young lady who's a receptionist at the Department of Health in Gauteng. Or let's make it a practical example. There was a lady known as Babita, who was a financial officer in Gauteng, Department of Health. She came out and she spoke and she revealed a couple of billion that were actually stolen or looted in Tembisa Hospital. And what happened to her is when she was coming back home, gunmen came, she was opening up a gate, shot 6 bullets, gone. Her family today is still traumatized. The whole Department of Health is saying we cannot touch that case because the last person who spoke was killed. And what the Zondo Commission said, they said, for us to fix the rot in our government, we must protect